So here's one way you could use a chromatic scale to connect the other scale notes in, say, a diatonic scale. So right now I'm in A minor, and I'm going to connect notes with chromaticism, which just means fret by fret. So they're all a half step apart, but I'm landing on the stronger notes. Here we go. Right, so I didn't play anything crazy, but I just used that chromaticism to add a little tension getting from one note to another. Another way we could do it is just surrounding strong notes right below, right above, using the chromatics, the half steps on each side. So if here's like an arpeggio, like an A minor arpeggio, I could do something like this. Hey everybody, Gary here with Guitar Tricks, and in this video we're going to go over the chromatic scale. What is it and how can we use it in our playing? Before we get into the lesson, please go ahead and click subscribe so that you get all of the latest and greatest content from Guitar Tricks, and if you want to be notified of any new lesson, be sure to tap the bell. So the chromatic scale is kind of like lesson number 1 in understanding how music works, because it's the 12 notes that we have. So in Western music, most music we listen to, there are 12 notes. The guitar only has 12. If we start here, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, back to E. So there are only 12 of them. And that's the chromatic scale. And on the guitar, there's a few ways to play that. Now, knowing kind of how it's laid out on the fretboard allows you to understand how these horizontal and vertical shapes of different scales and chords are created, because they're all just pulling from the chromatic scale and creating an assortment of different intervals. So for instance, if here's one way I could play the chromatic scale starting on the note A, that was a chromatic scale in 2.5 octaves, and I just played those 12 notes starting down here, ending here. When I got to the octave, I just continued until I got from the lowest string to the highest string. But now, then when we look at, say, the A minor scale, or we could see how that exists within the layout of the chromatic scale, right? So starting on the first note, we skip over the second, then we have for instance here, a major second, then a minor third, then a perfect fourth, then a perfect fifth, then a minor sixth, then a minor seventh, and then an octave. So seeing the chromatic scale and then seeing the different possibilities within that helps you to understand the differences between different scales. So it's good just as kind of a basis before getting into diatonic harmony and other kinds of scales and pentatonic scales and all that. Just understanding there is the chromatic scale, and this is how it's laid out on guitar. From a practical standpoint, in the world of jazz and classical music, there is a lot of really cool use of the chromatic scale. It sounds kind of sometimes kind of atonal and jarring on the ears, but in a way that some people love and in a way that can be cool. But in some simple ways, we can just use the chromatic scale to get from one note to another or one chord to another. So let's say I was in A minor, and I wanted to connect a couple of notes. So let's say I had a riff that went, I might do something like, so all I did there is I connected those notes chromatically. And when we say chromatically, it means in half steps. All the notes are connected in a line in half steps. Let's say I have a riff that goes, maybe I want to go. Now there's a word called a glissando, which is where you go up the chromatic scale or down it really fast. Something like that. So what I'm doing is just pulling off. Or if I go up. So I'm just going. So that's another way you can use it. You could also use it just going from one chord to a next. So let's say I was on A minor to C to D to F, like in that backing track. You know, da da da, that half step creates a little tension. So So one good way to practice this, practically speaking, is just when you've got notes together on a string in a scale, if it's, or sticking with that A minor tonality, try to connect them. So some ways that you might want to visualize this and hear it are the first one that I did, where you do 4 on one string, fingers 1, 2, 3, 4, then slide up 1 with the pinky. So you do that on the E string, then go back to the 5th fret on the A, back to the 5th fret on the D. Now on the G string, you just do 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then skip, because the guitar is tuned in fourths and then a third between the G and the B, and that kind of throws off the symmetry. Then you return to the 1, 2, 3, 4, then slide up, then backwards. You could try maybe sliding with the first finger. So on the way up, sliding with the pinky, on the way down, sliding with the first finger. Another good way to see it is just to see this diagonal motion on the guitar is to do 1, 2, 3, 4, then back up 1 fret. 1, 2, 3, 4 again, then back up 1 fret, back up 1 fret. Then on the B, same fret, then back up 1 fret again. And then in open position, what's really cool is you can do the first one we did, but you don't have to do any sliding. So let's say we just did E. Starting on the open E, we do open 1, 2, 3, 4, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, open 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 3, 2, 1, open, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, open, 4, 3, 2, 1, open, 4, 3, 2, 1, open, 4, 3, 2, 1, open. It's a good spider finger exercise too. So not only to get it in your ear and visualize it, but also as a technique builder down here. You could then try skipping a note and coming back one like this. All right, everybody, if you want to learn more about playing guitar, head over to guitartricks.com. Happy playing, and I'll see you in the next lesson.